Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's show, we discuss Bryce Young getting benched for the Carolina Panthers. Not a great look for me. We preview the top games of NFL Week 3, Vikings, Texans, Eagles, Saints, Ravens, Cowboys, Lions, Cardinals, Chiefs, Falcons. We also touch on all the games this week. We get into all that. We discuss whether the Lions are actually a Super Bowl contender or not, and we do a KarterKast parlay at the very end of the show, so stay tuned for that. And make sure to download the SeatGeek app. Use code KarterKast for $20 off your first purchase. Let's get into the show. We're live. Dylan, Ben, Connor are here. Let's start off. We need to address the room. We recorded Sunday night. The news didn't come out. Bryce Young got benched first thing Monday morning. Andy Dalton is now the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Dylan, you can take a victory lap.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the draft show, I said, hey, there's a lot of options on the board here, specifically Will Levis. And now we're looking at a situation where Bryce Young's going to be getting splinters in his butt riding the bench. You got Tepper picking him out for him. It's an awesome situation to be in. I'm wrong sometimes.
And you are still wrong about Will Levis. He's going to be benched after Malik Willis beats him on Sunday.
No, we'll beat Green Bay by like 40, and then the Will Levis comeback player of the year train will be on the tracks. But it's great to see. Yeah,
adversity.
Right? Adversity, yes. All those stupid interceptions. Here's what I will say. Bryce Young needs to make the plays, and he wasn't making the plays. And that's what we heard all last year is Bryce Young, he's this playmaker. He might not be able to see over his offensive line, but he can make the plays. And when a team isn't giving him the opportunity to make the plays, i.e. sit him on the bench, it's tough to make the plays. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you guys. It stinks. But at least if we have something to be positive about, you didn't give up a bunch of draft capital and like a top wide receiver one for this guy. So there's things to look up. It's looking up.
Wide receiver one, we'll see. I mean, he can't, he's not having real success in Chicago right now.
Well,
that might not be because of him.
Take a look at who's throwing the ball. But
yeah, no, look.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Go ahead. You want to go ahead, Connor?
Yeah, sure. Dylan, I'm happy that this worked out for you, man. It really seems like you needed a win after all of the Texas hate and stuff. Yeah. So, you know what? As Panthers fans, it hurts a little bit.
I just want to clarify. This is NFL show, right?
Yeah. Sorry. No,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Cut that.
Sure.
Yeah. So, IT cut that out. Anyways, Bryce Young, I don't know. The thing is, as a Panthers fans, it sucks. Number one, obviously because of the trade haul we gave up for him. That is brutal. It's already one of the worst trades in NFL history. It's true. Yes, it happened. The second thing is a lot of pushback I was getting on Twitter or social media after that Panthers clip posted that we had was like, oh, like the organization owes it to the fans and the rest of the players to give them the best chance to win. When has David Tepper or that organization ever cared about what the fans want, what the rest of the players want, or what anybody else wants besides him and that organization? They haven't. That's not a factor that can be considered. If you're another organization, fine. But as a Panthers fan, I'm not going to accept that. I get it. Andy Dalton probably gives you the best chance to win next week and in the short term, and he might win us 4 or 5 games this year. But in the long term, what's Andy Dalton going to do for you? He's in his mid-30s. Bryce Young, with 2 years as a starter, at least you know what you're going to get at that point. So benching him now after 2 weeks, I get it. He might lose the locker room. Fans are wearing paper bags. It's a bad situation. But unless they have plans to bring him back, I think it's a stupid move. I do. Because now what? We're going to get the 5th pick in the draft? I don't see where we're going with this.
Then you're stuck in that no man's land of where you're in that 7th, 8th pick range, and you're like, okay, I'm drafting Michael Penix here instead of getting Caleb Williams or Drake May or Jaden Daniels instead. It's a bad situation, man. I'll be quick. It's pretty simple. Everyone talks about it. Everyone's either 100% Bryce Young's at fault, 100% at fault, or no, this is David Tepper. No, this is Dave Canales. It's all parties at fault here, man. It's very clear. One, it's very clear this was a David Tepper decision. In Dave Canales' press conference, he said he refused to answer whether David Tepper made the call or not, which, shocker, he's made every single call since being the Panthers owner. It was definitely a Tepper call. But also, Bryce Young was terrible. He was awful. Yeah. He was one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen play football. And his offensive line wasn't the problem. He was missing throws, and he was playing horribly. Now, that's also on the Panthers organization because they put him into the fire last year and killed his confidence. We watch what the New York Jets did to Zach Wilson. It's the same thing. They put him in a disastrous, unwinnable situation to kill his confidence, and it kind of hurts them for the rest of their career. Now, you can say, oh, well, it's Bryce is at fault. Bryce always sucks. But then you look at the previous quarterbacks in Carolina that were, oh, it's their fault. They suck. Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, he was fine. He was at the end of his career. A little bit of a different story. Baker Mayfield. Look at Baker Mayfield now in a better situation. Sam Darnold. You look at Sam Darnold now in a better situation. These guys are going on. Bryce Young's going to go on and be a Pro Bowl quarterback somewhere else because he's in a much better situation in a much better organization. That's the funniest part about all this, and that's the worst part about being a Carolina Panthers fan. Ben, you're a Lions fan. The Panthers are in that 2010s Lions zone, or early 2010s Lions zone, where it's 0-17 type stuff, and you're done for the next 5 years. You have nowhere to go for 5 years in that 0-17 Hugh Jackson Browns spot. That's where the Panthers are right now. It's sad. It's depressing. I understand Andy Dalton helps people on contract years, and that's going to help Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson get their next contract more than Bryce Young probably would in the short term. But to be honest, as a Panthers fan, I don't give a crap about their next contracts. I really don't. I want Bryce Young to be the quarterback. He should play all 17 games. It's people saving their jobs right now. And
it is.
Look,
it is that.
Panthers are going to win 5-6 games, hurt their draft stock. Andy Dalton's going to look better than Bryce Young. I can almost guarantee that. And it's just the Panthers. It's just what it is.
Two quick numbers before we move on. Bryce Young was pressured on just 4 of 29 dropbacks in week 2, lowest rate out of any quarterback. And after ranking 27th last year, the Panthers O-line is now the 5th best PFF pass blocking grade through 2 games. So
zero drops too. That
Campbell's not getting there.
Yeah, I was about to say the drops weren't there to be made because it's 3 yards over them.
I mean, you just look at some of these stats like average yards per completion, yards per attempt, just all this stuff, just major red flags. And I'm not sitting here being like, oh, it's all the organization's fault and it's Tepper's fault. Bryce Young has played horrible. He's been by far, hands down, the worst quarterback in the league. He made Malik Willis look like a Pro Bowler. So I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. He's horrible. But I think when you trade that much for somebody and you take him number 1 overall, I know you want to not lose the fan base to the locker room, but you just got to play it and you just got to sit through and play him for 2 years. And at least at the end of this season, you could be like, all right, I firmly know what I have in Bryce Young. Let's move on. Because now it's like, well, he only played 2 games his sophomore year, so maybe he would have turned it around, even though he wouldn't have. But now we're not sure.
And last thing I'll touch on this, and then we'll get into game previews. If the Panthers don't actually end up seeing Bryce Young at some point again this season, that's the biggest problem. He's got to play at some point again this season. If the plan is, hey, we're going to sit him for the next 3-4 games, see what we got, see what's going on, maybe get his confidence back, I kind of get that. But this is just 101 on how to screw up a quarterback. His confidence and just everything, just how to ruin a quarterback's career. Carolina is just a prime example of it right now, what they've done with the last 4 quarterbacks they've had, actually. Ben, real quick, wrap up, and then we'll move on to game previews.
Yeah, what I was going to say is it's similar to the Zach Wilson thing and in a lot of ways, but I love that probably will be the explanation. We want to get his confidence back up. And it's like, there's no better way to get your confidence back up than to have your boss be like, we're not going to have you do your job anymore because you're too bad at it. And thinking that will improve morale, that'll improve your confidence. I mean, he's not an idiot. Everyone knows why this is happening. And sort of a hot take, not sure if this is even a hot take at this point, is I've seen enough to determine that I think unless you are a bona fide first-round talent at quarterback and have a very good situation, I just don't think rookie quarterbacks should be starting year 1. Yep. I just don't think they should. 100% at all.
Agree.
You look at Caleb Williams, it's like the defense, they've got a lot of good personnel in the defense. He's got weapons, but it's like the offensive line sucks. And so therefore he's in a bad position. It just seems like if they're going to start year 1, you need to put him in the perfect situation. You put Jordan Love in Carolina. You put Jordan Love with the New York Jets, with Chicago currently. Is he going to see success? No, he's going to be labeled as a bust and shipped off somewhere else. That's why Green Bay, I'm not sure if they're especially good at just identifying high-level quarterback talent. They just draft them and develop them for 2 to 3 years, and then they see success from that. And so I'm just curious to see, going forward, like I wish I could go back in time and see a lot of these guys that are labeled as busts, first round quarterbacks that are thrown into the fire, and put them in a situation like Green Bay where they get to sit for 2 or 3 years until the situation's right, until they feel comfortable with everything. Like at that point, are those guys still busts? I think that's a question that's fair to be asked. That's something that's a big talking point. But I really think unless the situation's perfect and they're a really high level talent, I just don't think first round quarterbacks should play in year 1. Honestly, ideally, they're not playing till year 3, but year 2 is acceptable. I just think we've seen enough data at this point to go like these guys shouldn't be playing in year 1.
I
Michael
100%.
We'll see.
Yeah, now the Falcons draft pick doesn't look as stupid. Like we see
Yeah.
all these, even Jaden Daniels, all these guys are struggling right now. Bo Nix looks like Bryce Young reincarnated. Basically, this is just Bryce Young
Really bad.
2 years later. So I think that's
Bryce-
a great point. Go
Carter,
ahead.
bring Bryce back. We have a stretch: Washington, Denver, New Orleans, New York Giants. Let's get him back for that.
New Orleans
That
might
is-
be the best team in football, though.
That starts week 7. Okay, well then Washington, Denver. Just get him back for those two. Get some
Yeah.
confidence back.
Yeah, no,
Ah.
I agree.
What
I
a
think that's
fiasco.
Yeah, it's just a disaster. But to Ben's point, I very much agree because look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold should be the prime candidate for this kind of stuff. Like nobody in their right mind was ever going to win under that New York Jets in the New York Jets organization as a rookie quarterback. No one was ever going to. And now you see him now. He looks fantastic in a Vikings jersey. It's all about situation. And that's why these teams, like, how are you not looking at the Lions and the 49ers being like, that is the clear blueprint on how to be successful in the NFL now, where the quarterback should honestly be kind of your bottom tier priority. Get the offensive line correct and get the defense right. All right, let's preview some games. Let's start off. We're going to do the Sunday 1 o'clock slate. Texans-Vikings might be the most entertaining game on Sunday. That's the game that Scott Hansen's going to cut to the most on Red Zone, I think. That one and Eagles-Saints that we'll briefly talk about as well. Texans-Vikings, the Texans are a 2.5-point favorite on the road against Sam Darnold and the Vikings. Dylan, I feel like you like the Vikings here.
I do like the Vikings. I'm going to plug something. If you are a fan of this show, I implore you, Monday mornings, live stream, go check it out because we give out bets early. One of them was Vikings +4. I don't know if I would do Vikings +2.5, but we have talked about this Sam Darnold story. We've talked about the transition he has made since going to Minnesota, where his situation is just completely better. Houston's allowing the highest average depth of target over 10 yards. This could be, depending on Justin Jefferson, this could be a game where Sam Darnold just throws the ball all over the field. The only concern I have would be that Texans D-line getting to Sam Darnold. We see this Minnesota Vikings offensive line, not a great PFF pass block grade. So a couple concerns there. But I like Minnesota. I think this is a high-scoring game. I'm not going to take the over. But if Darnold wants to throw the ball down the field, I think he's going to be able to, as long as that offensive line can hold up and protect him long enough for him to go through his reads and for receivers to get down the field. I hope the Vikings win. I think they do win.
Wow. Okay. All right, Connor.
This is a little scary because we're back in Sam Darnold in a spot against a good Texans team. But I'm with you. I like the Vikings here because what I saw on Sunday Night Football from the Texans wasn't all that encouraging. They had 3 points in the second half, and I think Caleb Williams will be fine as an NFL quarterback, but he's not good right now. That Bears offense is not good right now, and the Texans barely were able to squeak that out, and they only had 3 points in the second half against the Bears defense that I'm also not that high on. I think Sam Darnold in this system under Kevin O'Connell, I really do think he's a better quarterback. Not the CJ Stroud, but just in general, a better quarterback overall. I like the Vikings here at home. I think they have the weapons. If Jefferson's able to suit up and play, Aaron Jones in the backfield, I think they have the weapons around Sam Darnold to win this game. And this is all without TJ Hawkinson, by the way. So if he comes back in a month or two, they're serious division contenders, Carter. I think you were right from last episode.
Yeah, Ben, I know you're a Lions fan. You probably don't love the Vikings.
No, I don't, but I feel like out of this division, this is the least offensive team. The Bears and Packers repulse me, but the Vikings
You're not going to
don't
paint
as
your
much.
nails?
I am not. I'm not going to go on a rant about that, though. But in this matchup, like, I think I could see this. I would be shocked if this gets into a 2-possession game at like any point. This just feels like a game that will be very close. I think will be decided by a field goal. I do have concerns though. I know that Sam Darnold and the Vikings offense like were able to perform with Justin Jefferson out, with Jordan Addison out. I see that they're both questionable this week. That's definitely a concern for me. Enough to go, I think that the Texans win by like a field goal, maybe like a field goal right at the end. Although Sam Darnold's been playing great this year, and because he's in a great situation, I think he can be the guy for them. I think he is the guy for them. With that being said, I mean, CJ Stroud is also a guy. He is also the guy.
He's looked so good this year. He's looked so good this year.
He's so good, and I
just certain
like
plays.
I just think the Texans, like, they've almost been kind of autopilot. At least on Sunday night, they were kind of an autopilot. Like, I think they're able to turn it on and win this game in a close one. Like, I'm gonna say, Kai Fairbairn, like, game-winning field goal right at the end. But I think it's a great game.
I don't know if I've been CJ Stroud. I've been impressed by. He's made huge plays on third down. He's been fantastic. But the Texans as a whole, I think Ben, you hit it on the head there. They've kind of been on autopilot. They've kind of just been cruising by. There's no reason that should have been a 6-point game. There's no reason the Bears should have even had a shot at winning that Sunday night football game. The Bears were so pitiful. And you look at that Colts team, they almost lost at Anthony Richardson Colts team. They gave up 27 points to Anthony Richardson and the Colts. I think the Vikings are going to have a field day in this one. I think as long as Jefferson and potentially Addison are playing, as long as mainly Jefferson, as long as Justin Jefferson is playing in this game, give me the Vikings all day long. If Jefferson's out, I'm a little scared. It's a complete stay away at that point. But if Justin Jefferson's playing, Sam Darnold's going to be able to throw all over this Texans defense. I'm not concerned about it at all. I think Vikings win this game by touchdown.
I think that the run game for the Vikings is really important too. We've seen this Texans team, they gave up a lot of rush yards to Indianapolis. Chicago, not as much, but again, we talked about Chicago's horrendous offensive line.
And DeAndre Swift.
Swift.
Yeah. That really bad there. Ben, you called that. I think in the NFC North preview, it's like you don't want Swift as your lead back. But this Vikings,
he's not good.
Yeah. We talked about the Vikings offensive line not being able to pass block, but their run blocking has been great. We've seen Ty Chandler and Aaron Jones. I know we had some concerns about Aaron Jones, but it's like the first game Aaron Jones pops off. Second game against the 49ers, it was Ty Chandler's day. It almost seems like if they can establish that run early, that will open up Sam Darnold to just throw the ball. And like I said, this Texans run defense has not been great this year.
The one concern I have about this Vikings team is, could this be a back to reality week where it's like, okay, this Sam Darnold stuff was fun, but let's look ourselves in the mirror, maybe splash some cold water on our face and be like, it's still Sam Darnold. This is still the same guy that people have ragged on for the last few years. And yes, he looks really good in this offense and this system, but what if this is the week where it comes crashing back down to earth?
I think there's definitely a point to that, but also I think I've been saying the same thing about Baker Mayfield for a year and a half now, and I've been wrong about it every week, I think.
But there's no way they're both this good for real, right? There's
Change
no
of
way.
scenery. So, Connor, a serious question. You say that about Sam Darnold. Has there been anything you've seen the first two games that might indicate he would come back down? I mean, maybe he has 2 interceptions, so maybe that, but...
Well, I'm just wondering if it's more about situation where it's like they beat up on a bad Giants team, which, by the way, easiest pick of week 1. But they beat up on a bad Giants defense, and then the 49ers was a great win. I will not lie. But could that just be a sleeping spot, look ahead spot for the 49ers, and that maybe tells us more about the 49ers than it does about Sam Darnold and this Vikings offense? That was my only thing.
I would lean towards this would be a sleepy spot for the Texans going from playing Sunday Night Football going into a 1 o'clock game in Minnesota.
But has Minnesota done enough to maybe put themselves on people's radars to where it's like, okay, we actually have to worry about this. This isn't just typical Sam Darnold. We're going to come in and sleepwalk to a win. I don't know.
I don't know about it yet. I think 2 weeks in, I don't know if he's got that reputation yet. Only in my mind for some reason.
I just get nervous backing Sam Darnold so confidently, even when he's looked this good so far in the season. But I could just easily see the Texans winning like 28-3. And we're sitting here on the next recap show like, what the hell were we thinking?
Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts again.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing? Like, is Jaron Hall coming back? Nick Mullins getting in there? What?
Jaron Hall.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
Rip Jaren Hall. Mononucleosis. What I was going to say, though, is that I think it could be somewhere in between, where Sam Darnold is obviously better than he has been in past, largely because of his situation, the fact that he has talent, but they're also not like a 2-0 division-winning team, but that they're like a 9-10 win team that's
a little wild card there. Yeah.
You know, like, I think that's probably closer to reality of what things are going to look like for this Vikings team. But, you know, although I'm going to the Texans, the rest of you guys are going to the Vikings. I can't argue going to the Vikings in this spot. Like, ride it till it dies, you know?
Yep.
And
I'm on the Sam Darnold train. Go ahead.
The last thing about the Texans is look at the quarterbacks they've played. Anthony Richardson did not look like an NFL quarterback in week 1. Caleb Williams is good as
he did. Week 1 he did.
What did he complete? Less than 50% of his passes? I don't know
but he
about
also
that.
had
He had a couple
Did
cool-
you see
he had a couple cool
that
plays.
throw? Did you see
Did
that
you see him
throw?
throw it 70 yards one time and then lose the game? Give me a break.
Yeah, but
He's not an NFL
he
quarterback.
also had like 250 yards on 9 completions and ran the
How
ball
many
all
attempts?
over. 9 for 19. What do you
Okay,
mean?
not awesome. Not
Yeah,
awesome.
But guess what? He ran all over them too. So guess what? And it was a 2-point game against
The
Anthony
Colts
Richardson.
won't. How about this? The Colts won't win a playoff game with Anthony Richardson as their quarterback ever. How's that for
they
a
have
take?
okay, if they make the playoffs, they will. But it's a good point because they might not make the playoffs.
For a guy
I'm
that
saying-
wants to give Bo Nix 3 years, you're giving Anthony Richardson a pretty short leash here, Connor.
I'm not saying he's going to be out of the league or anything. They're gonna
What
they're
are
gonna
we
ride it till it
talking
dies.
about?
He could be good, but come on. I don't know. But anyways, about the Texans, they played Anthony Richardson. Didn't look great in week 1. Played Caleb Williams on Sunday Night Football. He didn't do the Bears any favors. He will be good, but he did not do many favors in week 2. I don't know. I mean, are we sure about this Texans team? I think there's a bunch of questions on both sides.
I think there are real questions, especially in that secondary for the Texans and that run deep. The defense really scares me. Caleb Williams is bad on Sunday Night Football. He
Dylan,
was really bad.
I refuse to hop on your train if Caleb Williams is bad because he's going to look awesome in a couple weeks, and I'm not going to be in that boat.
He's on the Bryce Young path. Put him in a bad
No.
situation, bad offensive line.
He's actually not. The thing about Caleb Williams, though, is he's actually not that bad of a situation.
No, it's probably the best situation the number 1 pick quarterback has ever gone into. Let's be honest.
All right.
Probably. Anyhow, Eagles Saints, the number 1 fraud watch of the week.
Oh,
because
boy.
one of these teams are big old fat frauds. And I don't know which one it is because it might be both of them. Because right now the Saints are the best team in football. Could not believe I'm saying that 2 weeks in. And
Best
the
team ever.
Eagles are the biggest choke artists in football at the moment. Dylan, you look like you're biting your tongue there and you want to explode. So I'll let you go.
I'm hoping that there's an error on the Action Network website. I'm seeing Saints as a 3-point favorite.
You are.
Favorite. There was a
You
minus
are.
sign in front of that 3.
Favorite. It's time, Dylan.
Guys.
Join me.
Guys, what is happening in Philadelphia? We didn't touch on Monday Night Football. Holy crap. Sirianni's not calling the plays on offense. Sirianni's not calling the plays on defense now. What is Sirianni? He's even failing at being a cheerleader. He's head cheerleader of that Philadelphia Eagles team. What is happening in Philadelphia? I cannot tell you how much joy it brings me. And right, we have Eagles fans that watch the show, friends of the show. Shout out Mark and Philly. What are we doing here? What are the Philadelphia Eagles? All I heard last year was they find ways to win games. Buddy, you're finding ways to lose them now. You let limp Kirk Cousins go 70 yards on your butt. Oh my gosh, there is no one is going to take this Eagles team. No one is going to back this Eagles defense. The Saints, they blow out the Cowboys. They blow out a bad Panthers team. I don't care. I don't care if there's no data to go off for this Saints team. This is looking bad for the Eagles. And I think we have to start asking the question, when do we have a talk about Nick Sirianni? When do we push the panic button on the Eagles? Since they went 10-1 last year, they're 4-7. They've won 4 games. They lost to a Drew Lock-led Seahawks team. This is, you have to be concerned about the Eagles. 3-point underdogs to the New Orleans Saints. We were talking about this Saints team being one of the worst in football. 3-point underdogs. Okay. Actual analysis.
That was great, by the way.
Actual analysis. It
No
just
Kuiper
brings me
himself.
so much joy. It brings me, and the Falcons are a good team. I believe that, but there are some serious issues with this Eagles team.
Somebody
I'll
go
keep
fire
it-
off a tweet. When at Wilkerson A. Dillon gets going, he's unmatched.
What can I say, right? What can I say? We talked about the Saints offensive line coming into the year. I understand we're dealing with blowouts. A lot of the data we have is a little bit skewed because people are pulling their starters. We saw Dak get pulled. But the left side of this offensive line is actually grading out pretty well so far. The right side, not so much. I don't see how the Eagles create pressure here. They did not look great, especially on that last drive against the Falcons. I'm not going to bet this game. I will definitely be rooting against the Eagles. I will be having a little I'll have a little Twitter counter of how many times the Eagles get a penalty called, and then Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts just give us this face. What? Like they're gonna, like they're just gonna pick the flag up because you looked at them funny. This is awesome. I think the Saints win here, but I'm not gonna bet anything. I want to go on the record too. I'm not taking a stance on the Eagles like I did last year. Last year, I made a firm stance. I was right. This year, I'm not taking that stance. But man, is it fun to watch them implode. No apologies. No apologies yet, by the way.
Hey, Ben and Connor, I think we can move on to the next game.
Sorry. That was long.
No, I'm good. No, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. I don't know what to do here. Literally, I'm not touching this game.
I just told you what to do.
No, you didn't. You told us. You said you're not betting the game.
You're right.
That's not an acceptable answer for us, Dylan.
Yeah, no, I there's nowhere to go with this game for me. This is an ultimate stay away, watch back, and see who's the biggest frauds here, because one of these teams is not as good, and I think both of these teams are very fraudulent, and the Eagles look like the bigger suspect right now, but the Saints have been too good to be true.
It's not who's the biggest fraud. We know the Eagles are frauds already. The Saints are the only team that are at the top that are able to be frauds.
They are frauds.
But for preseason odds, the Eagles would be in a fraud watch then.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's fair.
My only thing about this game, what terrifies me the most, is somebody who was so big on the Eagles coming into the year, and I'm getting a little nervous. Sweat's starting to trickle down the neck a little bit. I don't know what's going on here. The one thing that concerns me with this game, the Eagles pass rush, for whatever reason, can't get home. Like, I've seen it all over Twitter, and, I watch all the games, obviously. If Brandon Graham, at 36 years old, is your best pass rusher, big problem there. And if Derek Carr has time so far this year, that's what terrifies me, is he hasn't been pressured so far this year that much. And look what he's done. He has torched the two defenses he's played without pressure. So if the Eagles can't find a way to get home, one of the reasons I was so high on them is because Vic Fangio is coming in a defense coordinator. And I was like, man, this is such an upgrade. I'm so excited. Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened.
Karter, who are they going to get mad at? There's no one left to get mad at. They fire their coordinators. There's no one left.
And also, the Cowboys weren't getting pressure on the Saints. The Cowboys.
Yeah,
what are the Eagles going to do?
Me.
Ben, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, just to go along with the Eagles, like, I'm kind of with Dylan in terms of just being like, I'm just so happy this is happening to them. Nobody deserves it more than them, frankly. Nick Sirianni's a clown. I'm just so sick of watching that guy on my television. With that being said, it makes no sense to me. It's not like they don't have the guys on the defensive line, on the defensive front to get home. So like that doesn't like check out to me. Like I don't understand why they're unable to get a consistent pass rush, but I digress. I kind of like I'd stay away from this too, but I like the Eagles just because like Saints, Vikings, like I'm kind of fading them a little bit. I don't know, like is the clock going to strike midnight on both these teams at some point? I think it might. Like I think the Eagles can be frauds. I think the pass rush can, for some reason, not be good. All of these things, AJ Brown out multiple weeks, they could be frauds, but that doesn't mean that the Saints aren't also frauds. Like I feel the Eagles are at least okay. I also wanted to add to Dylan's point that the Eagles lost to Zach Wilson and the Jets too. That's another classic.
Yes, thank you, Ben. I forgot about that.
Yes, that happened. I like the Eagles to win this game, but it's just like I've kind of backed off Connor. I think they still probably make the playoffs just because this NFC is so bad. But with that being said, like I don't put them in that Super Bowl contending tier anymore because I was like, okay, I think they clean things up. it just still looks like a clown show. You have
We're only
CJ
2
Gardner.
weeks in. We're only 2 weeks in.
Yeah, I know, but like you would have liked to see a little more to like make you go, okay, this is like they've got their tie up, like they're all professional.
Yeah.
But instead, you got CJ Gardner Johnson ripping off his helmet, even though he sucks
and not
That
getting
guy
fined for it.
sucks.
Remember when DJ Moore
Yeah.
did that? Yeah, what are we doing there? Another thing,
like-
Dylan, hey guys, at least Darius Slay's taking accountability. That's what
I was gonna add
That's
Darius. Just damn, that's on me, guys.
You know what? That's what we like from an organization, taking
It's just-
accountability. I'm sticking my neck out. Eagles are winning this game. We're back.
I agree.
Saints are frauds.
I agree.
Eagles are back.
Who is we? Who's we, Connor?
My Eagles preseason hype train that I decided to get on for whatever reason. I bought my tickets. I was like, man, these are cheap tickets for this Eagles hype train. Well, now I see why. It's on discount Black Friday.
The conductor.
If your head coach is signaling on first downs like he's a receiver, you have bigger problems to worry about than what you're calling on 3rd and 3 at the goal line. I'm just saying that right. He was over there like this. Every first down, buddy, you're not on the field. You're not even calling the plays. Oh, baby.
Would it be the funniest thing ever if Nick Sirianni is first coach fired?
No, it would make all the sense in the world.
It'd be funny,
The
though.
clips from that
It would
show
be
would
so funny.
do generational numbers, genuinely.
And I still wouldn't get any apologies. I had my address leaked online, and I wouldn't get any apologies for this Philadelphia Eagles take.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about the Saints is you look at the 2 games they played. Look at the rushing attacks they played. Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, Ezekiel Elliott, who's 35, and Rico Dowdle. They haven't seen a real running back yet. So the Saints defense, the Saints rush defense, I'm not sure what to make of that. I think Barkley behind this O-line has been good so far. Dylan, for whatever you want to say, Barkley's been an upgrade from last year, and he's been better than he has been behind the Giants O-line. So
Do not throw
We'll
him
see.
the ball. Do not throw handoffs only.
coaching decision there.
Yeah, that was a coaching
I would agree
problem.
with that too. I'd agree with that.
All right, yeah, whatever. I like the Eagles this week, though. I like the Eagles.
I think this game ends in a tie. I think this game ends 30-30 in overtime in a tie, and no one wins because Dennis Allen and Nick Sirianni can't figure out how to win a game at the end.
I think
I'm
this is the
just
stupidest game of the week, though. It's
Ooh.
like entertaining, but stupid. It's just a stupid game.
we could
terrified
talk-
for Derek
this
Carr to
might
get
be-
time.
This might be a stupid game. Ravens Cowboys. This is another one where this is a smash the panic button game for either of these teams. Right now, we have the Ravens are favored by 1.5 in Dallas right now. I'll be honest, I don't know what I've seen from Baltimore to warrant being a 1.5 point favorites in Dallas. I understand the Cowboys got waxed last week. I think this might be a good buyback spot for the Dallas Cowboys, but it's hard to say that after Baltimore's 0-2 as well. Connor, what are your thoughts on this game?
This is a weird one because coming into the year, I had this game circled where it's like, man, two pretty good teams where this is going to say a lot about both teams, and I still feel that way. The stakes are just a little bit less, where it's like, all right, the Ravens started off 0-2, and the Cowboys were 1-1, and it's like, I don't really feel great about either team. I will say this though, I liked what I saw from the Ravens in Week 1. Week 2 against the Raiders probably erased every single good thing I thought about them after Week 1 because they blew that game. They blew a double-digit fourth quarter lead. Lamar rushed the ball 4 times. We went over it in the recap show. If Lamar's not going to be able to run the ball 8-9 times a game and take at least a few of those hits, I don't know what this offense looks like because then you're trusting him to throw the ball and we're back to square one where it's like Lamar's a running back. Lamar's not an MVP quarterback, yada, yada, yada. I like this bounce back spot for the Ravens. I think the Ravens have more weapons, more talent, position to position. I think they bounce back here. I think in a big spot like this against the Cowboys, we're going to see Lamar run the ball, put the ball on the ground a lot more, and like take off, I think, more so than we saw last week against the Raiders. Because it does seem like the Ravens came into that Week 2 game like, all right, it's the Raiders. We can sleepwalk through this. Lamar, you don't need to run the ball. Don't put yourself at risk. We're just going to win this game anyways. Against the Cowboys, I think the Ravens do bounce back, and we see a little more Lamar on the ground. I like the Ravens here. I trust them a lot more. I think I trust them more this season going forward as well. This Cowboys team, I don't love their weapons. Don't love the number 2, number 3 receivers, or obviously the running back room. So give me Baltimore here in the bounce back spot. Now, that's risky, but I am going to take the Ravens.
Ben, thoughts on this game?
I think I like the Cowboys here just because we're looking at this Ravens offensive line versus this Cowboys pass rush. And I think that's huge. I know Lamar can run around. I know he can scramble. But I do think they're just going to be out of rhythm. Like, if they win this game, it's going to be complete, like, off-script Lamar just running around. gaining over 100 yards on the ground practically. They're going to be taking out Mark Andrews from this game pretty much because he's going to be playing left tackle too. It's just I just think like what we've seen from the Ravens that make us skeptical of them so far this season are the types of things that the Cowboys want to exploit. So with that being said, I just struggle. I think this is lower scoring than people think. But I think I like the Cowboys a little bit, especially as underdogs at home. That feels a little fishy to me. That feels weird. But I'm not going to overthink it. I like the Cowboys here. I think they win like 20-14 or something. Doesn't
it feel like whenever the Ravens have a bad loss like this, they usually bounce back after that? Because I was looking at their schedule last year. They had a bad loss to Pittsburgh by 7 in week 5, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later they beat the Lions by 32. So like it seems like whenever the Ravens come out and have a stinker like they showed in week 2 against Vegas, they usually bounce back. Like I feel like it doesn't really carry over.
Now that would be the funniest scenario is if they beat the Cowboys by 32 on Sunday.
That would be
so funny.
Do we know how the Cowboys bounce back to getting blown out though? And that's, I don't expect anybody to have that on hand, but I feel like we've been in this scenario before where the Cowboys get blown out, Dak gets benched late in the game, and then next week they take care of business. It's just off the top of my head. I don't know for sure. But
well, if you look at I'm looking at the last year's schedule. There's a couple losses. They lost to Arizona, which they shouldn't have. They come out and beat New England 38-3, and they lose to Philadelphia in a tight one. And they come out and beat the Giants by 30. So it's like the lesser opponents.
Yeah.
Yes, they bounce back, but the quality of opponents is not there.
Yeah, that's tough. That's hard. It's hard to use that as an argument.
And that's just last year. That's last year. Very condensed, data right there.
Yeah. On the live show, I gave out Cowboys money line. I have the Cowboys as a 1.5 favorite. So it's kind of shocking they're an underdog here. But when you look deeper into some of the stats, you can make a case for Baltimore. And I wasn't high on Baltimore heading into the season. We talked about how tough this schedule is for them to start the year. Baltimore is much better at running the ball, about over 5.5 rush yards per attempt. Cowboys have an awful red zone conversion rate, 31st in the league. And Baltimore is very disciplined defense, committing the fewest defensive penalty yards in the league. I don't know. I think it was Karter that brought up the point that this is like a do or die game. These are two great teams. These are two very good teams. And unless one of these teams gets absolutely blown out, like if this is a close game, I don't think that there's cause for concern. Like I said, I gave out the Cowboys money line. I'm not going to go back on that because I gave it out on a KarterKast show. But there is good data saying that the Ravens might have an advantage here. Also, their right linebacker or right outside linebacker, Owa, he is going to destroy the left side of this Dallas offensive line. Like I think he's going to have a big day.
Real quick though, I think this would be a massive panic. You said, you can't panic. These are both good teams. As long as neither of them get blown out, they shouldn't panic. I would absolutely smash the panic button on the Baltimore Ravens starting 0-3. That can't happen. That can't happen. Losses to the Raiders, Chiefs, and Cowboys. At least win 1. 1 and 2, okay, I kind of see it. Okay, 2 tough games against the Cowboys and Chiefs, I understand. If you're 0-3, so few playoff teams start 0-3. Very few.
But what did we say the Ravens were going to like? We said we saw 1-4 in the cards for the Ravens these first 5 games. And I get what you're saying. 0-3 is an awful start. I think that would be a great time to buy if they don't get blown out here. If this is a 1 possession game, I think it's a great time to buy some Ravens stock.
No, I think it's a good time to buy, but I also would be very concerned about their playoff chances because they haven't even played a divisional game yet, and they're starting 0-3. That's brutal, and probably the best division in this league.
I mean, you're not going to get me to say starting 0-3 is a good thing, but I just wouldn't worry about it. The Cowboys are a good team. The Raiders lost. We talked about it in the recap show. How many times is Justin Tucker going to miss field goals like that? It's just it is.
It might be a thing now.
That might be a thing.
You know what's crazy? I just found this on the fly. Expert researcher right here. If a team falls to 0-3, 103 times that's happened. 1 team has made the playoffs after starting 0-3 since 2002. That's a pretty damning stat right there.
It is. And Dylan, like we talked about, like the Ravens could start 1-4. Like we could have seen that scenario. The problem is that win they lost. That's something to keep in mind because they've got the Bills and the Bengals coming up the next 2 weeks. Like that's brutal. Like they can absolutely win one of those games. They could win both those games. Like they've got the talent to do so, but But time is of the essence for them right now.
Well, that's all part of the reason why I like him on Sunday is like that urgency, that sense of urgency to not start 0-3, even if you do feel like there's a favorable stretch in the schedule in the middle of the year. You can't bank on that. There could be an injury. There could be an injury to, somebody else on the other team, whatever. There's so many different factors at play here. You can't bank on being like, all right, we'll start 1-4 and then we'll rip off 8 of 9. In the NFL, you cannot hang your hat on that. And like that stat I just gave, they start 0-3. Historically, that tells us they're not going to be in the postseason. Like for whatever reason, if it's happened once or twice out of 100 times, it's like 2%. So I don't know. I think if you're the Ravens and they lose, the panic button has to be hit, even if it's a close game. Just starting 0-3 in general is horrible.
But what does hitting the panic button entail? What is you hit your panic? Like I just don't see.
Well, there's nothing they can do about it. Like they're not gonna it's not like there's a quarterback battle or anything. It's just we're sitting here being like maybe the Ravens aren't going to make the playoffs, which before the season seemed inconceivable.
I have a hard time saying that if they lose this game against the Cowboys, that the Ravens are in serious trouble. And I guess that stat you gave kind of says that they are. But I think, we talk about the division. The Browns aren't that good. We can talk about the Steelers, great defense, but if Justin Fields is still playing quarterback, like, I understand it's a tough division. Joe Burrow might not be 100% healthy. He looked great against the Chiefs, didn't look great week 1 against the Patriots. There are things here.
Dylan, you said that it's a 3-3 division.
And I think at the core that's correct. I think we can assume that. But we know how sports go. Just because we say it's going to be like this just because the team's favorited doesn't mean they're going to win. We say they have the Bills and the Bengals up next. Would I be surprised if the Ravens take those two? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'll be quick here. I'm taking the Cowboys in a slight win here. I don't feel great about it. I would not touch this game whatsoever. Let's move on. Lions Cardinals. This is going to be. I think this could be also one of the most fun games of the week. This Cardinals offense is a classic high flying NBA League Pass team. Lions are -3 in this game in Glendale. This is a massive bounce back spot for the Lions. If you listen to the Sunday recap show, I was disgusted with how Jared Goff played on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can blame whoever you want. It was 1,000% that on Jared Goff they did not win that football game, and there is no excuses on why they should not have beaten the Tampa Bay Bucs. They outgained them. There is no reason they shouldn't have beaten the Tampa Bay Bucs here. I like the Lions in a bounce back spot. This is a classic bounce back spot where the Lions had a weird loss where it kind of made no sense how they lost that game. Meanwhile, the Cardinals went out and put up 41 points against the Los Angeles Rams. This is a great time to buy back in on Dan Campbell and the Lions. I like the Lions -3 here, and I'll be brief. Ben, thoughts on this game?
I think I was going to say, as a Lions fan and a person who put out that Rams clip last week when they played the Cardinals, I think this is a double bounce back spot for me, potentially, if the Lions are to beat the Cardinals. I need that, but yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't able to join Sunday night to talk about the Lions, but I think the reason why I'm not concerned about the Lions is the reasons that they haven't looked good are because their strengths haven't performed to the level they have to be at. Which, although that might sound weird, it's like, oh, the offensive line, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta's been gone. Like, those are the guys who, like, aren't performing at the top level. Amon-Ra St. Brown was pretty good last week, but still, with that being said, like are we going to count on those guys, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, like not figuring it out on the offensive ends? Like, I think they figure it out. I think they figure it out pretty quickly. The defense has been very solid for the Lions so far this year. I think this is a place, though, where the Lions defense is going to actually need the offense's help a little bit. They're like, okay, we're going to we're trying here, but Kyler's going to score some points on us, and we're going to need you to score a lot of points too. I think this is a great bounce back opportunity for the Lions. Although the Lions offense has struggled through 2 weeks, it went in the right direction last week in terms of yards gained. They were able to get in the red zone constantly. The Rams, they were outgained in that game. This game, they almost doubled the Bucs in yards, but once they got in the red zone, they were 1 for 7 in the red zone. They had that.
Goff.
They would have. Yeah, Goff was bad. Frankly, the play calling was poor too by Ben Johnson, uncharacteristic. that Dan Campbell thing, I don't know if it's Dan Campbell's fault. He took responsibility for the field goal team running onto the field as they spiked it with less than 10 seconds left. They spiked that. They kicked that field goal. A lot of these red zone trips where they failed to convert on fourth down, they don't have to go for it on fourth down. Like, they probably win that game if that doesn't happen. So I do think this is a spot. Like, I'm not very concerned about the Lions. Like, I give it a couple more weeks before I'm concerned. Just the things that their strengths they've struggled with. And that's how it happens in the NFL. What you're really good at, people are going to try to stop you from doing it. And then after a few weeks, you adjust and find new ways to use your offensive line, your running backs, your good receivers, Sam Laporta, to beat up on lesser teams. I think it happens this week. Yeah, and the defense is much improved. So once the offense figures it out, I feel great about this Lions team. I feel great.
Yeah, but I don't feel great about this Lions team because Dylan mentioned it. Jared in the preview shows. I was so disgusted by Jared Goff on Sunday. And you can blame play calling. You can blame whoever you want. He had time in the pocket in the big plays. He was making horrific throws and missing throws, and that's my biggest problem with this Lions team. I think the Lions win this week. The Lions can win 13, 14 games this season, but I'm with Dylan here. The Super Bowl is such – Jared Goff in the Super Bowl does not give me any sort of comfort. Everything around this Lions team does, but I don't even think in the defense somewhat. We'll see. We need more time. More data, Dylan.
More data.
I do not believe the Detroit Lions are Super Bowl contenders with Jared Goff as their quarterback. Now, you can say, I don't think they can win the Super Bowl. Now, they can make the Super Bowl because they'll play at home and the NFC stinks. But when they have to go against elite quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, they're not winning that game. And it's going to come down to Jared Goff has the ball, a minute 20 left, and he's got to drive down the field, and I don't believe he can.
Carter, I understand what you're saying about I'm with Dylan. I want to talk to Ben real quick. I need it on the record. I'm not worried about the Lions. And Ben, you were echoing some of that. You were speaking my language that, the total yards, they outgained him. I think a 2-interception game from Jared Goff is an anomaly. We're not going to see it every week. Carter?
No, well, I was going to say, okay, are you worried about them in the regular season or as a Super Bowl contender?
Super Bowl contender, I've always been out on. I'm still out on.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. They're going to win they're going to be the number one seed in the NFC, in my opinion.
But just so we avoid any confusion, based on last week's performance, that does not. I don't think the Lions are any worse than what we thought at the beginning of the season because of last week. I think the interceptions are an anomaly. Mm-hmm. Looking specifically to this game, Hutchinson has been great so far this year. But surprisingly enough, the left side of this Cardinals offensive line has been pretty good. I think Hutchinson's gonna have his work cut out for him. Goff will have great protection as normal. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I guess I kind of can against the Cardinals, but the Lions have the best defense in this matchup. The Lions have the best defense between them and the Cardinals. I'm not going to take anything, but I do need it on record. Ben, me and you right here. The loss to the Bucs does not worry me one bit. I also need to know if the roof in Phoenix is going to be closed or open before I make any decisions.
Just that awful Phoenix weather that causes so many issues.
That the loss in itself doesn't bother me as much because you mentioned they outgained those guys, but it's Jared Goff's performance in that game that really concerns me. That's my only problem. Everything else I'm not concerned about. They outgained him, but Jared Goff concerns me. That's my number one concern, Connor.
I'm not going to overthink this. Like you guys said, Lions bounce back spot. I think the Cardinals winning against the Rams tells us more about how concerned we should be with the Rams, more so that we should feel good about the Cardinals. Like, yeah, Marvin Harrison was awesome. Kyler looked great, but the Rams defense is horrible. And then the Rams offense completely imploded with injuries. I think that tells us more about the Rams being bad than the Cardinals being good. And yeah, this is one of those games with the Lions. It just reaffirms my opinion that they're not going to win the Super Bowl. But as far as the regular season goes, flush it. Throw away the tape. Who cares? You lost to the Bucs. It sucks. They're going to come out and stomp the Cardinals this week. I think the public, they saw the Lions choke that game against the Bucs, and now they're out. I think the Lions bounce back and win big this week, and I feel pretty confident in that.
All right. Anything else on this game before we move on?
I just wanted to say to keep that same energy when Sam Darnold has one bad game. And just be like,
absolutely.
You're out.
Yeah, but guess
you're
what?
out fully.
Well, the Vikings
No. I'm not out on the Lions. I'm out on them as a Super Bowl team. They're going to win 14 games this year, 13, 14 games. But if Sam Darnold's not winning a Super Bowl, the Vikings
fair.
are not winning a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold.
Clip it.
Yeah, I'm breaking news.
Brock Purdy then.
Well, kind of the difference in that Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but we have seen Jared. Well, I mean, I know Kelsey and Christian, and then we will move on, I promise. But we saw Jared Goff beat the Chiefs, and then I wanted to give one counter to there's 120 left, Jared Goff. The end of if there wasn't that absurd ref takedown of the Lions versus the Cowboys, that is exactly that. Jared Goff marched down the field on the road against the playoff level team and scored a touchdown.
Fair, but
that's all I'm saying.
We're doing hypotheticals here because I would say in the playoffs I have concerns, and we saw Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, but that was also 5 years ago. How much stock can you put into that against the Rams team? It's tough to put stock into that, but I have very, very high concern levels for Jared Goff as a Super Bowl winner. They're going to probably be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Anyhow, Let's move on. Let's go to the Sunday Night Football game. Chiefs-Falcons in Atlanta. The Chiefs are only -3.5 in this game. If you can get this number at Chiefs -3, Dylan, you know what they say.
Yeah.
If you can get the Chiefs -3, you got to take them.
Gotta take this.
Stay away.
Yep, stay away.
Dylan's not doing that. He loves Kirk Cousins too much.
I want to say something. If you want primetime games, sign Kirk Cousins, baby. Back to back for the Atlanta Falcons. Kirky primetime. We're back, baby. This
Big
is
Kirko.
G. Kirko. That playlist, man, even though it isn't his, amazing playlist. We saw the Kirk and the Falcons. I mean, Kirk just and I don't say this lightly, bodied the whole city of Philadelphia. I mean, he just shoved it down their throat. It was embarrassing, emasculating for anybody in Delco County. Or that's a county, right? Delco County?
You're asking the wrong people.
I don't know. Whatever it is. Delco, Philadelphia, cheesesteaks. I don't care. Anyway, this is a bit different. I've been high on the Falcons. The rush defense concerns me. I understand Pacheco is out. The Chiefs signed Kareem Hunt. They have options there. You can even throw in Xavier Worthy, and not in run specific packages, but we've seen him run the jet sweep. I'm really concerned about the Falcons up front on both ends of the ball, defensive front, offensive front. I think the Chiefs just have a little too much for this Falcons team. I don't trust Atlanta's defense. Can I give a prop?
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Can I give a prop? Justin Watson under 27.5 receiving yards. His line has been 16.5 the last 2 games. He's went over with 22 and 25 yards. Overcorrection the opposite way. He goes under that this week. I think the Chiefs win. I understand the whole field goal thing. I'm not going to bet the Falcons. I hope they win. I'll be rooting for them. But I just think up front it's too much for the Falcons.
My concern with this game is that you lose every Joe Schmo loses a bunch of money betting on the NFL in the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock slates, and they're like, all right, we're going to chase all our bets with Chiefs -3.5 right here. Chiefs -3.5. They're not losing to the Falcons on Kirk Cousins in primetime. That's my only concern here, but everything on paper tells me, why would you not take the Chiefs here? It feels taking I like the Chiefs to win this game. I'm not going to overthink this one. The Falcons got lucky. They got lucky to beat the Philadelphia Eagles last week. Oh, Dylan, don't even
Wait
do
a second.
that.
Whoa. What? Can you explain? Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, really? Hey.
Because I like luck.
If the Eagles just do that, just catch the ball like that, wide open.
Or maybe just knee it. Just knee it.
Or just,
okay.
Yes.
Screw it.
They win that game. So
that's fair. Okay, I'll give you that.
Anyhow, I get Chiefs here. I'm not going to overthink it, Connor.
Yeah. The line's moving towards the Falcons, which is crazy. We're about to get Chiefs -3 in this
scares
spot
me.
against a Kirk Cousins Falcons team. Yes, it scares me. Go ahead.
I just want to offer a bit of insight on that. I think that Karter was right. Late on Sunday, we're going to see money pour out on the Chiefs, the public getting
true.
It's the Chiefs. But I think it makes sense that the Falcons line is moving back toward in the Falcons' favor, because I think everybody saw that last drive and they think, wow, Kirk Cousins still has it. I think that might be why we're seeing that early movement.
Well, even in the post-game interview, Kirk Cousins came out and said, I've got to be sharper. I've got to be better. The last drive was great, but the whole game he was like, I didn't look as good as I wanted to. And I think there's some truth in that. That last drive against that Eagles defense, they were just playing soft prevent coverage. And then if you're Kirk Cousins, can you do that for a whole game against a Chiefs defense that is pretty damn good? I don't think we see that version of Kirk Cousins from that last drive the whole game against the Chiefs. I don't think it happens.
And I think that's fair. Ben, I know you still have to go. I do want to say this. I don't know if we're all in agreement here. What we saw from the Falcons on Monday Night Football or Sunday night, I can't remember when it was. Monday Night Football.
Monday.
It looked a lot better than what we saw against the Steelers. And maybe the Steelers' defense is so much better, but Kirk was going through his reads. There were a couple throws in the middle of the field. I mean, he was throwing that ball. It wasn't there was zip on that thing. So I understand the concern. I understand he wasn't great the whole game, but there was definitely progress made from week 1 against the Steelers to week 2 against the Eagles.
There was, but I'm not going to overthink this. The Chiefs are head and shoulders above this Falcons team, and you want to like have any reason to bet the Chiefs? Go watch week 1 Kirk Cousins and watch how he moved around. Yep. Yeah, he looked a little better in week 2, but if that Chiefs D-line gets home a couple times, I don't trust Kirk in this situation at all. And I'm taking the Chiefs. It seems too easy. Karter, you're right about the square bets. Everybody's going to chase their bets in the afternoon slate on this game. I think it's the right move. I do. And if you want a prop, Dylan, you want some props?
Give me a prop.
Kyle Pitts over 3.5 receptions. You saw how those Bengals tight ends tore up the Chiefs on Sunday. Gesicki had 7 for 91 yards. The backup tight end had a couple catches. I think Kyle Pitts gets a lot of action in this game. So 3.5 catches is too low.
I also want to mention Kyle Pitts. Could be possible Super Bowl preview.
Well,
just saying.
Well,
just getting it out there.
Will Michael Penix be starting? Or
oh my gosh! Oh please,
Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much here. I'm gonna say I've picked against the Chiefs the first 2 weeks and been wrong both times. I'm not gonna do that a third time. I'm going with the Chiefs. I think they win by like a touchdown. I do think Kirk Cousins and the Falcons are legitimate. They proved like, okay, this isn't a flop. This is still a playoff team. It's going to take a little bit of time, but they're going to get there. I feel pretty confident they'll get to the point where they win like 10 games. But I like the Chiefs here. They're just a little too good. I think the Chiefs win by like a touchdown.
I love it. Prop in this game, Dylan. Carson Steele, first touchdown.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This is the only week to take it. So
I'm in. Deal.
Yeah, Carson Steele first touchdown. Very funny. Let's go through some other games real quick. Let's steamroll through some of these. Thursday Night Football, we've got Jets versus Patriots, a dynamite matchup. Jets are a 6-point favorite in this game. Dylan, is this the nap game of the week?
I think, Ben, you missed this conversation. We had talks of Raiders-Panthers nap game of the week, but I think we zig and we go Thursday Night Football, Jets-Patriots, KarterKast nap game of the week, TM.
Yep.
I love it.
Thursday night.
Is a standalone nap game like you just don't watch?
Like, I think you just go to bed
turn
early.
it on.
No,
this
I
wouldn't
think
even be nap. This would be just go to bed early.
I think you take your girlfriend or wife out to dinner.
There we go. That's the right answer.
Because you're not missing anything in this game, man. Let's be honest. Unless Drake May all of a sudden comes in and is dynamite for some reason, but you're not missing
Guys, calm down. This is a rematch from last year's barn burner where the Patriots won 15-10. Come on.
Oh, that game was sick. You're right.
I can't wait.
We got some other poopy games this week. We got Broncos-Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a 6.5-point favorite. That's just an ultimate stay away. This is a game where the Buccaneers come out weirdly sleepy, and people are like, "Ooh, they beat the Lions," and then the Buccaneers come out and lay an egg against the Broncos, but only either win by like 2 or.
And all of a sudden, people are like, "Bo Nix isn't bad." Yeah. It's like, "Ooh,
Bo Nix." Even though like the Bryce Young looked good against the Buccaneers last year, that's how bad.
Give Bo Nix his flowers.
Buccaneers are an all-time play to their competition team.
Yes.
Chargers Steelers. This is a dogfight. The total's 35.5 here. No one's going to want to throw the ball in this game. This is just going to be a Dylan Big Ten special right here. I think first one to score wins, and that's it.
Sounds about right.
Golden goal.
If I had to take a side here, I guess I would go Steelers. Chargers never went back home. They've been stuck on the East Coast for 2 weeks. So
can I do breaking news?
Purposefully.
Breaking news.
Sure.
I think you guys will get more enjoyment out of this than me.
Will Levis bench, please.
Woe's just retired.
What?
Woe's just retired.
There's no way.
I've decided to retire from ESPN and the news industry. I understand the commitment required in my role, and it's an investment I'm no longer driven to make. Time isn't an endless supply, and I want to spend mine in ways that are more personally meaningful. After all these years reporting on everyone's teams, I'm headed back to my own.
Yeah, it's real.
Wow. That is crazy.
I never want to hear crap about breaking news again.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was a good one.
Thank
but
you.
then when
Thank
it's like Mike Vrabel kissed a dog, I don't care.
That's important. They're eating the dogs, Carter. They're eating the dogs. We have
need
to
more
know someone's
dogs.
standing for something.
All right. We had to get one in there every episode, I guess. Packers Titans. Speaking of Mike Vrabel, Malik Willis revenge game, Dylan.
No, we beat him by 3 touchdowns. Will Levis gets this interception thing figured out. We impose our will. It is going to be absolutely emasculating for Green Bay Packers fans.
If
The
Will
Packers
Levis,
might not score. Sorry.
oh, I was going to say, if Will Levis has another silly play like he did again, are you out on Will Levis?
I said week 4. After week 4,
Okay.
if he's still doing it, I'm out. No, I'm not out.
Okay.
I'm going to have some serious conversations with Mr. Callahan.
We're having
Packers
serious
might not score 10
conversations in
points.
Carolina too. Yeah.
I don't see a world where the Packers score 10 points.
Well, Will Levis has the concepts of a plan for this weekend, so we should be good.
Yeah, there we go. Giants, Browns. Browns are a 6-point favorite. Don't ever bet the Browns as a 6-point favorite. I don't care if they're playing the Giants or the Panthers. Don't bet the Browns as a 6-point favorite. Browns probably win that game, but don't do that.
They won't look good doing it, Carter.
This is an all-time what the hell kind of QBs do we have matchup? Bears Colts. Colts -1 in this game in Indianapolis. Well, one of these quarterbacks is going to win this game.
This is going to be an interesting game especially for this show. As a known Anthony Richardson hater, Dylan's out on Caleb Williams already. I mean, this just has a lot of stakes. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to say. Dylan, you have anything?
No. I hope the Colts
I'm
lose
just gonna hold
because
my
they're in the
breath.
Titans division.
I'm just gonna hold my breath.
Ben, anything on this one?
I was gonna say, can we do like a 10-minute, like in or out of the pool, halfway in the pool, halfway in the door,
Yeah.
halfway out the door? Maybe we can do that with both these quarterbacks. Yeah, I don't
Door's
have
creeping
strong
shut.
opinions. I think I might lean towards the Colts because although the Bears, like defense, has been able to perform up until this point, I think that the Colts' run defense is very poor, but I don't think the Bears can exploit that. So I think that gives an advantage to the Colts.
AKA
That's so
DeAndre
true.
Swift is butt cheeks, is what you're saying. Dolphins, Seahawks. Seahawks are a 4.5 point. Oh, also, shout out the NFL. We finally have a normal amount of 4 o'clock games this week.
Yes.
Thank goodness. Oh, my. I hated having 10 games on. I had to miss 2 of them. I had to miss 2 of the games last week.
I was
hated
overwhelmed.
that.
It's bad.
Dolphins, Seahawks. Seahawks are 4.5 point favorite in this game. This is a weird line. Is Tyler Huntley starting in this game, or is he just signed to the Dolphins?
No, I saw he was signed to the practice squad, so it might be a couple weeks before he plays if they don't go sign somebody else, which I don't know why they would if they signed Huntley.
Yeah,
I think
this
they'll
is-
activate him, but I doubt he plays.
Yeah.
This
Unless
is
something
a-
horrible happens.
This is a spot where you're like, ooh, Skylar Thompson, he did that. He covered that 16.5 point spread against the Bills a few years ago. And then you watch him the other night against the Bills, and you're like, oh, my gosh, he truly can't throw the ball. He has no throwing ability.
I mean, this average yards per attempt is going to be an insane number. It's going to be Tyreek bubble screens, Jalen Waddle slants. I mean, we're not going deep at all.
Yeah, this is a close your eyes, F it, Tyreek Hill's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's, when they're down 10 points, it's like, you know what, man? Mike McDaniel's like, all right, just do the Tyreek deep shot. I don't care. Just
Do
figure it out.
four verts.
When are we going to have a conversation about the Seahawks?
About them being good?
Yeah.
This might be their division now,
It
Dylan.
might be their division. The defense is humming.
We'll have that conversation, not this game, but if they beat the Lions next Monday night.
Which
Deal.
they
Okay.
have success against the Lions for no reason.
For
63
no
to
reason.
61.
That's the dumb game the Lions never win. But yeah, I think that's week 4, right? Yeah, week 4 in Detroit. That's
Deal.
a stupid one the Seahawks always win. So yeah.
49ers, Rams in Los Angeles. This Rams team is just a bunch of zombies out on the field now. We've got Matt Stafford playing with the NBA G League right now. 49ers are a 7-point favorite in this game. Look, this is the all-time classic Niners bounce back spot, but this is also, you also have to get so concerned betting against Sean McVay when he's a 7-point underdog. You never know what BS he can pull out, and all of a sudden you're like, is Demarcus Robinson the number 1 free agency pickup in fantasy this week, or am I crazy? I like the Niners there.
Tyler Johnson?
Love the Rams.
Tyler
Love
Johnson.
the Rams here. Everybody's selling on the Rams. You give me divisional home dog of a touchdown. We actually got it 7.5 on the live show. Yeah, I'm in. I don't care what team you're trotting out there.
I like the Niners to win, but I don't like betting against McVay as a 7-point underdog.
At home, divisional boys, divisional game.
Dylan, you're exposing
San
yourself.
Fran's not too far away.
Yeah, I was about to say, Dylan, you're exposing yourself as a non-football guy. That entire stadium's going to be red.
That doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
I didn't
That's
say
a
anything
road game.
I didn't
That's
say
a
anything.
road game for the Rams.
Okay, all right. I'm saying home divisional dogs is a very great spot to be in.
But they're also not home. This is going to be a Rams home,
they're
or
home.
Niners home.
What?
Trends don't care about your feelings, Carter.
Yeah,
exactly. Stop trying to add context.
Panthers,
Community
Raiders.
notes.
The Raiders are the line was at 7. It went down to 5.5 after Andy Dalton got announced as the starter. Raiders are a 5.5 point favorite. Yeah, the Panthers are winning this game, and it brings me no joy to say that. So
100% agree. I think Andy Dalton's going to come out and fool everyone and look great this week, and people are going to be like, "Oh my God, Bryce Young was holding this Panthers team's back." And some of us might bet the Panthers to win the division at 100-1, and some of the other ones of us might see the truth. But I do think the Panthers win this game. I think 6 is insane. I think Andy Dalton for a couple weeks will look like a top 10 quarterback in the league, and then in reality, we all know he's not.
anyhow, awesome parlay picks, Dylan.
Give me. Skip me.
Okay,
Skip me.
Connor.
Sorry.
All right, this is a tough one because I got a better number than most people at this. I took Chargers Steelers under 37. It's now 35.5. Do we still feel good about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, 35.5 under Chargers
Chargers
Steelers.
Steelers under 35.5. We're getting in the weeds, everybody. Getting in the weeds.
Ben, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go Browns Giants under 38.5.
Okay, we're getting
I actually
ugly
love that.
today. We're getting
love
ugly today. I like that. Dylan, are you back?
Can I go Thursday night?
No.
Ooh,
Oh
no.
my gosh.
You got to
no.
ban that.
Give me
I swear
can I go
if you-
Vikings money line?
We can go Vikings money line.
I'll go
Unless
Vikings
you
money
guys
line.
majority rules. Connor?
I will not question Dylan's parlay juju. So
Okay. All right.
And Carter,
Alright.
if you disagree with it, you can just go ahead and take Texans money line.
No, I already have Vikings money line straight up. I already took it earlier in the week.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Watch the
Anyhow,
live show?
I did watch the live show.
There we go. All right.
Yeah. Anyhow, and that is why I bet it. I got 3.5 though.
Still good.
Yeah. Anyhow, I won't take it. I'm not gonna put the Panthers in the parlay. Let's go Lions -3 against the Cardinals.
Oh, I don't hate that.
Yeah, we're going Lions -3 against the Cardinals. That's the KarterKast Week 3 NFL parlay. If you didn't check out the college football episode, make sure to go check that out as well. All right, guys, that's it from us. Ben, Connor, we'll see y'all. Dylan, I'll see you on the outro. All right, that's it for the show today. Make sure to tail the NFL parlay this week. I don't know how to end these shows, these outros. I know it's abrupt. We'll figure it out. We'll get better. But anyhow, make sure to subscribe, rate, review. Wherever you're listening, make sure to hit that subscribe button, especially on YouTube. Hit subscribe, like the video. If you like our other content, make sure to check out all of our college football stuff and follow us on all social medias at KarterKast on everything. Use code KarterKast at SeatGeek.com for $20 off your first purchase, $50 minimum purchase required. At KarterKast on everything. We will be back Sunday night for the NFL recap show. Just a reminder, we're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday episodes out every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see y'all Sunday night, Monday morning. Bye-bye.